Every year I got gifts and within a week, they'd vanish. Mom always said I lost them, but I knew the truth. I was 7 when I first noticed something was off. My birthday had just passed and I'd gotten this awesome remote-controlled car from my aunt. It was bright red with sleek black tires and a controller that felt so cool in my hands. I spent hours zooming it around the living room, dodging furniture, feeling like I was on top of the world. But a week later, it was gone. I tore my room apart, checked under the bed, in the closet, even in the garage. Nothing. When I asked Mom, she just shrugged and said I must have misplaced it. I was a kid, so I believed her at first. But then I saw it, my car, in my little sister Emma's room, parked proudly on her shelf. She was 4, all giggles and pigtails, playing with it like it was hers. When I confronted Mom, her face got tight and she told me I was being selfish. Emma's younger. She needs toys more than you do, she said. I didn't get it. Why was my gift hers now? That wasn't a one-time thing. It became a pattern. Every birthday, Christmas, or random occasion when I got something, a Lego set, a skateboard, even a cool hoodie, it would disappear within days. Sometimes I'd find it in Emma's room, sometimes I wouldn't see it again, but Mom's story was always the same. I was careless, I lost it, or I didn't deserve it because I didn't appreciate it enough. Emma, on the other hand, was always more responsible, according to Mom. It stung. I started feeling like I was the problem, like maybe I was too careless or ungrateful. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Emma wasn't sneaking into my room to take my stuff, she was too little to pull that off. Someone was giving her my things. By the time I was 10, I got smart. I started hiding my gifts. I'd tuck them under loose floorboards in my closet or stuff them in old backpacks buried deep in my dresser. For a while, it worked. I'd keep my stuff for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month. But Mom always found them. It was like she had a sixth sense. One time, I hid a new pair of sneakers behind a pile of old clothes in the basement. I came home from school one day to find Emma wearing them, her tiny feet swimming in the oversized shoes. When I confronted Mom, she didn't even blink. You're too greedy, she snapped. You don't need all this stuff when Emma has so little. I was furious. Greedy? I just wanted to keep what was mine. I started locking my door, but Mom had a key. I tried talking to Dad about it, but he'd just sigh and say, your mom's just trying to keep things fair. Fair? Nothing about this felt fair. The older I got, the worse it hurt. It wasn't just about the stuff anymore, it was about feeling invisible. Every time Mom took something from me, it was like she was saying Emma mattered more. I loved my sister, don't get me wrong. She was a sweet kid, always smiling, always wanting to tag along with me. I didn't blame her. She didn't know any better. But Mom? Mom knew exactly what she was doing, and it made my chest ache every time I thought about it. I'd lie awake at night wondering why she favored Emma so much. Was it because Emma was younger? Cuter? Did Mom just love her more? The questions ate at me, but I didn't have answers. When I turned 13, I started keeping a list of everything that went missing. A gaming headset from my uncle, gone in 4 days. A skateboard from my cousin, vanished after a week. A jacket I'd begged for months to get, Emma was wearing it by the next weekend. Writing it down made it real, made it impossible to pretend I was imagining things. I showed the list to Dad once, hoping he'd see how messed up it was. He just looked sad and said, I'll talk to your mom. Nothing changed. If anything, Mom got sneakier. She'd wait longer to take things, or she'd give Emma my stuff when I wasn't home so I wouldn't notice right away. It was like a game to her, and I was always losing. By the time I hit 15, I was done. I stopped caring about gifts altogether. What was the point? I'd get something cool, feel that spark of excitement, and then poof, it'd be gone. I started telling family not to get me anything. I'd rather have nothing than watch my stuff end up in Emma's hands. But my grandpa, bless him, never listened. He'd always go all out for my birthday, saying I deserved something special. On my 16th birthday, he gave me an iPhone. It was the newest model, sleek and shiny, with a case he'd picked out just for me. I was over the moon. For the first time in years, I let myself get excited. I promised myself I'd keep it safe. I hid it in a locked box under my bed, and I carried the key with me everywhere. I wasn't taking any chances. 3 days later, it was gone. I came home from school, checked the box, and it was empty. My heart sank. I didn't even have to look far. Emma was in the living room scrolling on my phone, her little fingers tapping away. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stormed up to Mom, my hands shaking. Why? I asked. Why do you keep doing this? She didn't even look guilty. She just rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic, that Emma needed the phone more because she was starting to get into social stuff. Emma was 12. 12. I was so angry I couldn't speak. I just walked away, my chest tight, my eyes burning. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was going to explode. I couldn't keep doing this. I needed proof. That's when I got the idea for the camera. I'd seen those cheap hidden cameras online, the kind people use for security. I saved up some money from mowing lawns and bought one. It was small, easy to hide, and recorded straight to a memory card. I set it up in my room, tucked it inside a pile of books on my shelf, angled to catch my desk and bed. I felt like a spy, but I was desperate. If I could catch Mom in the act, maybe I could finally make her stop. Or at least make Dad see what was going on. Update 1, the camera footage. It took a week for something to happen. My birthday was long over, but I'd gotten a new pair of wireless earbuds from a friend as a late gift. I kept them in my desk drawer, locked, and waited. Sure enough, one day after school, they were gone. Emma was wearing them that evening, bopping her head to music in the kitchen. My blood boiled, but I kept my cool. I went to my room, pulled the memory card from the camera, and plugged it into my laptop. My hands were shaking as I opened the file. There it was. Mom, clear as day, rummaging through my desk. She found the key I'd hidden in a sock, unlocked the drawer, and took the earbuds. She didn't even hesitate, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Watching her do it made my stomach twist. It wasn't just about the earbuds, it was the betrayal. She didn't care how it made me feel. She didn't care that I'd been begging her to stop for years. I saved the footage and made a copy just in case. I showed Dad the video that night. I didn't know what to expect, maybe he'd brush it off like always, or maybe he'd finally get it. When the video ended, his face was pale. He didn't say anything for a long time, just stared at the screen. Then he looked at me, his eyes heavy, and said, "There's something you need to know about Emma." My heart stopped. What did that mean? Was Emma sick? Was there some big secret I'd been left out of? He told me to sit down, and my mind started racing. I'd always thought Mom's favoritism was just her being unfair, but the way Dad said it made me think there was more to it. He explained that when Emma was born, things were rough. Mom had a hard pregnancy, and Emma had some health issues early on. They didn't know if she'd make it through her first year. Mom was a wreck, Dad said, and she poured everything into Emma, every ounce of love, worry, and attention. When Emma pulled through, Mom never stopped treating her like she was fragile, like she needed to be protected at all costs. Dad said Mom felt guilty about how much time she spent with Emma back then, so now she was trying to make up for it by giving her everything. Including my stuff. It wasn't right, he admitted, but it was her way of coping. I sat there stunned. It made sense, but it didn't make it hurt less. Why did I have to pay for Mom's guilt? Dad promised to talk to Mom, but I could tell he was torn. He loved us both, but he hated conflict. I went to bed that night feeling a weird mix of relief and anger. I finally had answers, but they didn't fix anything. Mom was still taking my stuff, and Emma was still getting everything I wanted. The footage was proof, but it didn't feel like enough. I needed to do something bigger, something that would make Mom stop for good. Update 2, the confrontation. I spent the next few weeks planning. I didn't want to just confront Mom with the video that hadn't worked with Dad the way I'd hoped. I needed something that would hit her where it hurt, something that would make her see how much this was messing me up. I decided to stop hiding my feelings. For years, I'd kept quiet, swallowing my anger to avoid fights. But I was done. I started calling Mom out every time something went missing. When Emma showed up with my new backpack, I didn't let it slide. I looked Mom dead in the eyes and said I knew she took it. She tried to play it off, but I could see her squirm. I kept the pressure on, pointing out every little thing, refusing to let her pretend it wasn't happening. It wasn't just about the stuff anymore. I started opening up to my friends about it, something I'd never done before. I'd always been too embarrassed, like admitting my mom was stealing from me made me look weak. But my friends were shocked. They couldn't believe a parent would do that. One of them suggested I talk to my grandpa since he'd always been in my corner. I hesitated at first. Grandpa was Mom's dad, after all, but I was desperate. I called him and told him everything, from the toys when I was 7 to the iPhone. I even sent him the video. He was quiet for a long time, then said he'd handle it. A few days later, Grandpa showed up at our house. I wasn't expecting it. He didn't tell me he was coming, and Mom looked blindsided when he walked in. He sat us all down, me, Mom, Dad, and Emma, and played the video on his laptop. Seeing Mom's face as she watched herself on the screen was something I'll never forget. She went from defensive to silent, her cheeks red, her hands fidgeting. Grandpa didn't yell. He just asked her, calmly, why she thought it was okay to take from one kid to give to another. Mom tried to explain, stumbling over her words about Emma's health and her guilt, but Grandpa cut her off. He said it wasn't fair to me, that I deserved to feel loved too. Emma started crying, and I felt awful. She didn't know the full story. She thought the gifts were hers all along. That night changed things, but not the way I expected. Mom apologized, but it felt hollow. She said she'd stop, but I could tell she was more embarrassed than sorry. Dad started paying more attention, making sure my stuff stayed mine, but the tension in the house was thick. Emma stopped talking to me for a while, like she was mad that I'd gotten her in trouble. I felt guilty but also vindicated. For the first time, I wasn't the only one seeing the truth. But something still felt off. Mom's apology didn't explain why she'd gone so far, why she'd kept it up for years. I couldn't shake the feeling there was more she wasn't saying. Update 3, the unexpected twist. A few months later, things seemed to settle. Mom stopped taking my stuff, or at least I thought she did. I was still on edge, checking my room constantly, but nothing went missing. I started to relax, thinking maybe the worst was over. Then one day, I got a package in the mail. It was from Grandpa, early birthday gift since my 17th was coming up. Inside was a smartwatch, one I'd been eyeing for months. I was thrilled, but also paranoid. I hid it in a new spot, a locked box inside a locked trunk in my closet. I wasn't taking any chances. A week later, I checked the box. The watch was still there. I breathed a sigh of relief, but something felt wrong. The lock on the trunk looked off, like it had been tampered with. I checked the camera I'd kept running, just in case. What I saw made my jaw drop. It wasn't Mom this time, it was Dad. He'd picked the lock, taken the watch, and put it back. I watched the footage 3 times, trying to make sense of it. Why would Dad take it, then return it? Was he checking on me? Or was he in on it with Mom all along? I didn't confront him right away. I needed to understand what was going on. I started paying closer attention to Dad. He'd been so quiet through all of this, always playing the peacemaker, but now I wondered if he'd been covering for Mom more than I realized. I started noticing little things, how he'd changed the subject when I brought up the missing gifts, how he'd always defend Mom's intentions. One night, I overheard him on the phone in the garage, his voice low. I couldn't hear much, but I caught one sentence: "We can't keep doing this to her." Her? Me? Emma? Someone else? I decided to dig deeper. I know it sounds crazy, but I started snooping. I checked Dad's emails when he left his laptop open. Most of it was boring, work stuff, bills, but then I found an old thread between him and Mom from years ago when Emma was a baby. It was about money. Apparently, they'd been in deep debt when Emma was born, with hospital bills piling up from her health issues. Mom had wanted to sell some of my toys to cover costs, but Dad had said no, that it wasn't right. The emails stopped there, but it got me thinking. Had Mom been selling my stuff? Was that why some of it never showed up in Emma's room? I couldn't let it go. I checked Mom's old PayPal account. She'd left her password saved on our family computer. There it was, transactions from years back, selling toys, clothes, even electronics. Some matched the gifts I'd lost, like the gaming headset and the skateboard. My head was spinning. All this time, I thought she was just giving my stuff to Emma, but she'd been selling it too? I felt sick. I didn't know what was worse, the stealing or the lying. Final update, the truth and moving forward. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I confronted both of them. I showed Dad the footage of him with the watch and Mom the PayPal records. It was messy. Mom broke down, sobbing, saying she'd only sold a few things when they were desperate, that she gave most of it to Emma to make her happy. Dad admitted he'd known about the selling but didn't stop her because he didn't want to fight. He'd taken the watch to check if Mom was still doing it, then put it back when he saw she wasn't. They both apologized, but it felt like too little, too late. The worst part was learning they'd used the money for more than just bills. Mom admitted some of it went to extras for Emma, dance classes, new clothes, things they said I didn't need because I was older and more independent. It hurt so much to hear that. I'd spent years feeling like I was less than Emma, and now I knew it wasn't just Mom's guilt, it was their choices, their priorities. I didn't know how to move forward. I loved my family, but I didn't trust them anymore. Grandpa stepped in again, offering to let me stay with him for a while. I took him up on it. Living with him was quiet, peaceful. He didn't try to fix things with words, he just showed me he cared. He'd make me pancakes on weekends, take me fishing, listen when I needed to vent. For the first time in years, I felt seen. I still talk to Emma. She's starting to understand what happened, and she feels awful. She's been giving me back some of the stuff Mom gave her, like the earbuds and the backpack. It's weird, but it's a start. Mom and Dad are trying too, they've promised to stop, and Dad's been more open about their finances, trying to rebuild trust. But it's hard. Every time I get a gift, I still check it twice a day, just in case. I'm not sure what the future holds. I'm saving up to move out after high school, maybe go to college far away. I want a fresh start, somewhere I can feel like my things and my feelings are safe. For now, I'm focusing on the little things, enjoying my time with Grandpa, rebuilding my relationship with Emma, and trying to let go of the anger. It's not easy, but I'm getting there one day at a time.